Hi guys, how you doing? This is a review for quiz 5 for Math 120. It's for the week of March 30th. The first couple have to do with just definitions on distributions, skewed definitions, positive and negative. They're in the notes, so if you take a look, I think it'll be no problem. Take a look at the beginning of your notes, okay? The next few problems have to do with computing z-scores, which I go over quite extensively in the notes. A z-score is just a way of comparing how a data value relates to other data values in its set of data. So basically what a z-score is you're finding out how far away a certain piece of data is from the mean. Like for instance, my height, if you compared my height compared to other women's heights, the average height of women of my age, for instance, I could find out how many standard deviations I am away from the mean. So you take my height minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. That's how you compute a z-score. So when you compute a z-score, you need the piece of data. This is the data. It's a 5, maybe it's 5 feet. I don't know. The average, I don't think so because we're talking 3. The average is 3 and the standard deviation is 1, and they want me to figure out the z-score. So they want me to figure out how many standard deviations 5 is away from 3. That's basically what you're computing. So I'm just going to plug into the formula. So my z is equal to my x is 5. The mean they have to give you is 3, and the standard deviation they have to give you in this case is 1. So we get 2 over 1. So you get a z-score of 2. You can get a negative z-score, so I don't want you to freak out if you get a negative z-score, because in this case, my x is 4, my mean is 5, and my standard deviation is 1. So I get negative 1 over 1, so I get negative 1. So don't be scared if you get a negative z-score, okay? The last problem is a little bit more involved, but it has to do with, well, here's an example that I did in my notes. It's similar to this example. So this problem talks about Shaq. You guys know who Shaquille O'Neal is? He used to play basketball. You probably know who he is. But he's really tall. He's a basketball player. He's 85 inches tall. But the average for basketball players was 80 inches, and the standard deviation is 3 inches. Johnson is President Johnson. He's the guy that took over after Kennedy got shot. I know you guys weren't around. But he was 75 inches tall, while the average for presidents, U.S. presidents, was 71.5 with a standard deviation of 2.1. So my question is, who's relatively taller, Shaq amongst basketball players or Lyndon Johnson among presidents of the United States? So the way we can figure that out is to figure out a z for each guy and then look at how big the z is. And the bigger z score is the one who's relatively taller amongst his peers, okay? So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna do the Shaq z. So let's see, Shaq's height was 80 inches. The mean for basketball, 85, sorry guys. He's 85. The mean was 80. And we have to divide it by the standard deviation for basketball players is 3.3. Oops, that's an 80, guys. So when I did that out, I gotta find my notes. But I'll get your numbers in a second. Oh, that's 1.52. Okay, so Shaq's got a z-score of 1.52. How about Lyndon Johnson? His height is 75 inches. The mean for presidents is 71.5, and the standard deviation for presidents is 2.1. So when I did that on my calculator, I got 1.67. So now at this point, I want to know who's relatively taller, Shaq amongst players or Johnson amongst presidents. So you look, you go, Shaq's got a 1.52 z, Johnson's got a 1.67 z, Johnson's got a bigger z. He's relatively taller amongst presidents, even though he's shorter than Shaq. But when compared to other presidents, he's relatively taller. So the answer to that question would be Lyndon Johnson, okay? If you have any questions, you email me. Okay, try the quiz. Bye.